let's keep it a book. Tory Lanez got screwed. I don't care if you hate the man. I don't care if you think he's guilty already. The way that trial ran, straight sloppy. Fake evidence popped up, key witnesses vanished, and the jury got fed half-truths like they was binge watching Love and Hip Hop instead of deciding somebody's freedom. And this ain't me making stuff up, bruh. This is straight from the appeal hearing and court records. You can hate Tory for all the dumb moves he pulled outside that courtroom, but in here, this whole case smells off. And when I break it down, you're gonna see why a retrial ain't just possible, it's damn near mandatory. All right, let's talk science, because this right here should have flipped the whole damn trial. Bruh, Tory's fingerprints, nowhere on that gun, zero, zip, nada. They had months to test it, drag their feet, and by the time it came in, boom, no Tory prints.
Shit, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you that.
Then the DNA. This where it gets real shady. The jury never even heard the full breakdown. On paper, it was labeled inconclusive, which sounds like, oh, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But nah, the actual math said his odds were 1 in a million, meaning statistically, it was more likely another random black man touched that gun than Tory himself. And the jury never got told that. They just heard the DA say, don't be fooled by the DNA. Like, come on, bro. That's not law. That's propaganda. So while the public thinking his DNA was all over that weapon, the reality, the science said otherwise. That's the type of detail that don't just slip through. It gets buried. Now check this. Tory sends out an apology, but not to Kelsey. Think about that. If this was just some little argument, wouldn't he be patching things up with both of them? But nah, his whole energy was toward Megan. He even says he expects backlash once word gets out.
Okay.
Backlash for what though? Causing a rift in the crew? Please. Ain't nobody canceling you for some petty argument. That only makes sense if we talking about something way bigger, like you actually shooting somebody. And here's the kicker. He himself admits he don't even remember what they were arguing about. So if you don't know the fight details, why are you apologizing so heavy? That reads like a man trying to cover something up, not just making peace. So here's where the defense starts swinging. They open up talking about the confrontation clause. Basically, your right to face and grill the person accusing you. Kelsey Harris took the stand, but she did it under immunity, ducking damn near every real question. She hit him with the classic, I don't recall, like it was a catchphrase. But here's the problem. The jury still got to hear her old statements from the DA interview back in 2022. That's like letting somebody snitch in a police room, then when it's time to testify in court, they shut down, but the jury still hears the snitching. Defense says that's unconstitutional, straight up against the rules. And the wild part, the jury used that stuff heavy. They even asked for her transcript while they was deliberating. So Kelsey didn't even have to face real cross-examination, but her words still got blasted through the courtroom. That's shaky ground, bro. That's like building a whole house on sand. Next rare flag, Justin Edison. Prosecutors came out swinging in opening statements, promising the jury that Justin was going to take the stand and say Tory confessed. That's heavy. If you tell a jury straight up, yo, we got a witness who heard the man admit it, that sticks in their minds. But guess what? Justin never showed, never testified, no confession, nothing. Juries left hanging, still picturing that promise in the back of their heads. Defense called it what it is, unfair, misleading, and under California law, you can't be throwing out stuff you ain't got a good faith belief will actually come in. And here's the part that stings. No correction, no instruction to the jury saying, yo, forget what you heard in openings. So they still sitting there like, yeah, that dude was supposed to confess against Tory. That's poison, bruh. Once you plant that seed, you can't unhear it. Now back to the science mess. Prosecutors straight told the jury, don't be fooled by the DNA.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, bruh, that's not how evidence works. You either break it down clean or you don't bring it up. Here's what really went down. The DNA on the magazine excluded Tory completely. He wasn't on it. On the gun itself, results came back inconclusive, which sounds neutral, but it ain't. And the actual odds were 1 in a million that Tory's DNA was on that piece. Translation? It's more likely another black man touched that gun than Tory himself. But the jury, they ain't hear that. They only heard the DA twist it, making it seem like science still pointed to Tory.
How, Sway?
That's not proof. That's misdirection. And when jurors think DNA says guilty, even when it don't, that's how you rig an outcome without ever saying it out loud. Bruh, this one's wild. 4 days before trial, prosecutors pull out a random Instagram comment like it's the smoking gun. Said it came straight from Tory's account, basically making him look like he was pointing the finger at Kelsey. But here's the catch. Tory's own manager swore up and down he was the one who typed that comment, not Tory. And the defense didn't even get proper notice ahead of time, so they couldn't prepare. That's a straight violation of discovery rules. So now the jury's sitting there thinking Tory himself is out here on IG trying to spin the story, when in reality, it might not even been him. That's hearsay. It's unauthenticated and it broke the rules. But the way it got presented looked real bad for him. That's the kind of last-minute curveball that can tilt the jury, especially when they already leaning one way. Now this right here is major. Straight up Brady violations. For y'all who don't know, that's when the state hides or delays evidence that could help the defense. And that's exactly what Tory's team says happened. We talking late fingerprint results, DNA data dropped on them last minute, Kelsey's transcript not turned over in time, that Instagram comment slipped in sideways, and even a sealed 911 call from witness Sean Kelly. All of that suppressed, delayed, or mishandled. And under the law, a Brady violation is 3 parts. 1, the evidence helps the defense. 2, the state hid it. 3, that could have changed the outcome of trial. Tory's lawyers checked all 3 boxes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I feel that it would have really tipped those scales to reasonable doubt to find that Mr. Peterson was innocent. And that's why today we humbly, humbly pray for exoneration of Mr. Daystar Peterson.
Thank you very much.
And key witnesses in the case, Mr. Sean Hawley, who gave testimony, we're attempting to get a copy of his 911 call.
Wait,
which
you said Sean Hawley?
Sean Kelly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I thought you were referring to counsel who's female. Okay.
Yeah, no, very close. Yes, Sean Hawley was the attorney. Sean Kelly was the witness.
Okay, got it.
Different spellings also. So obviously we can see that this is favorable. The second question under that 3-part analysis with Strickler was it suppressed willfully or accidentally? Yes. This evidence was suppressed. All of these different pieces to where Mr. Medesian said, I feel like every day I wake up and I have an email from either the night before or the morning of saying, oh, we missed giving you this. And very respectfully, I say that. And the final component of this 3-prong test is, would it have changed the outcome of the trial? Yes. Absolutely. If our jury could have heard the full picture, the full accurate picture of just the evidence being laid out as it was, without these don't be fooled and, late discovery, I feel that it would have really tipped those scales to reasonable doubt to find that Mr. Peterson was innocent. And that's why today we humbly, humbly pray for exoneration of Mr. Daystar Peterson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So imagine being on trial for your life and the stuff that might prove your side never even makes it in front of the jury. That's not just unfair, that's dirty. And it's exactly the type of thing that makes a conviction shaky as hell on appeal. All right, now the prosecution comes back swinging. They point to that jail call Tory made, saying he basically confessed, blamed it on the alcohol, all that. They also brought up a text where he supposedly apologized again, but the defense ain't having it. They like, nah, that ain't no confession of a shooting. That call was Tory saying sorry for the chaos, for the fallout of the night, not my bad for letting the bullet fly. Context matters. But the state tried to flip it. They also used that same IG post, acting like it was proof Tory was deflecting blame on the Kelsey. So in their eyes, the jury got it right. Case was solid and all this appeal talk is just smoke. Basically, the DA painted Tory as a drunk dude who blacked out, shot Megan, then scrambled trying to cover his tracks. That's the picture they wanted stuck in the jury's mind. And they weren't letting science or missing witnesses get in the way of that. Now here's where it got spicy. The judge actually pressed the prosecution. Asked straight up, if that IG post was admitted in error, would it be considered prejudicial? That's a heavy question because it cuts right to the heart of appeal law. See, if evidence gets in that never should have been shown, but it didn't matter, they call that harmless error. But if it likely swayed the jury, that's reversal territory. That's how cases get flipped. And the prosecution, they didn't even want to admit it was a problem. They basically said, nah, it wasn't prejudicial. Jury still would have convicted. Meanwhile, defense is like, bro, only 4 people were even there. Megan and Jaquan weren't suspects. So if you slide in a comment implying Tory's guilty, that narrows it straight down to him. That's not harmless. That's poison in the well. So when it's time to close, Tory's team went all in. They hammered the Brady violations, saying the state held back too much, and that alone demands a reversal. They also ripped the way Kelsey's testimony got handled. Remember, she claimed memory loss, ducked questions, but the judge still let the jury hear her old DA interview. That's not how it's supposed to go. Normally, you refresh a witness's memory with notes or transcripts. But the shortcut here gave jurors a full story without Tory ever getting across her properly. That ain't a small slip-up. That's a straight-up Confrontation Clause violation. It's like letting somebody accuse you while you sit gagged in the corner. Defense painted it clear. The trial wasn't fair, the process was bent, and you can't call that justice. So, that's it. Oral arguments in People v. Daystar Peterson, aka Tory Lanez, officially wrapped. The judges locked in, taking notes, no play. Now, it's a waiting game. They got up to 90 days to drop a ruling. Defense walked out feeling good, said the justices actually listened, asked sharp questions, gave them a fair shake. That ain't always the vibe in Cali courtrooms. So they took that as a win by itself. Bottom line though, this thing is in the judges' hands now. Could be a reversal, could be a new trial, could just be Tory sitting right back in the same spot. Either way, the appeal's in motion. And for the first time since that guilty verdict, Tory's side got a little daylight. After court, Tory's lawyer came out talking, and she wasn't sugarcoating. She said straight up, this ain't about clout, it ain't about him being Tory Lanez. It's about the system being fair. She broke it down. Convictions don't always mean justice. Sometimes the DA manipulates, sometimes the process gets flawed, and appeals exist because mistakes happen. She feels like that's exactly what went down here. Evidence hidden, testimony twisted, jury steered the wrong way. She also addressed the so-called new evidence. Legally, she admitted it don't really change much. But for the people watching, it proves Tory's side wasn't crazy. It's validation. And she made it clear, if the appeals court don't fix it, they'll take it higher. Supreme Court if they gotta. Her bottom line, the fight's not over. Tory's not just sitting down accepting this. They gonna keep swinging till they either clear his name or run out of courts to knock on. Now look, I ain't jumping on no bandwagon to scream Tory's innocent. Dude's got a track record. Rushing stages when he had a restraining order, beating up August Alsina with his crew, wilding when he already knew he couldn't afford another strike. Those are facts. But this trial, that's a different story. The way it was handled was messy as hell. Evidence slipped in it shouldn't have. Witnesses promised and never delivered. Science bent to fit the narrative. That ain't justice. That's politics. So I don't think Tory's some saint walking free, but I do think he deserves a retrial. Because if the system can play games with him, they can play games with anybody. And that's the scary part. At the end of the day, this whole case shows how shaky the justice system can be. Facts should be facts, but when evidence gets buried, when juries get spoon-fed half-truths, when shortcuts replace the real process, that ain't justice, that's convenience. And here's the lesson. Feelings don't matter in court. You can hate Tory, you can love Megan, but none of that should outweigh hard evidence. And if the evidence wasn't presented fair, then the whole verdict's suspect. So even if you believe Tory did it, the question is, did the state prove it the right way? Because if not, every one of us should be side-eyeing the system right now. So tell me this, do y'all think Tory deserves a retrial or should the verdict stand? Drop your take in the comments. I'm going to be checking what y'all saying. And if you rock with this breakdown, that video popping up right here is a must watch. Trust me. Panda out.